The Las Vegas Raiders have quietly become one of the most improved teams in the NFL this offseason. They were aggressive in free agency, smart in the draft, and made one of the boldest moves of the year by hiring a Super Bowl winning head coach, Pete Carroll. Alongside him, new general manager John Spytek has brought a sharp eye for talent and character. Together, they're reshaping the Raiders with players who not only bring skill, but strong leadership and toughness. One of the most exciting additions? Running back Ashton Jeanty. Over the past few practices, Jeanty has taken command of the backfield. He looks explosive, powerful, and ready to be a game changer. As tight end Brock Bowers put it, Jeanty is rocked up, built like a tank, and moves like a Ferrari. For a Chip Kelly-led offense built on speed, spacing, and keeping defenses off balance, Jeanty fits perfectly. If opponents come out in a too-deep safety look, the Raiders will run it right at them. Force a safety into the box? Then the deep ball is coming. Whether it's Dante Thornton taking the top off the defense, Trey Tucker flashing his burst, or Jacoby Myers working the middle, the run game is the foundation, and Jeanty looks like the centerpiece. You'll also see players like Raheem Mostert, Zamir White, and Dylan Laub getting work during running back drills. The competition is real, but Jeanty is clearly standing out. We've gathered highlights, insights, and key takeaways from recent practices to break down everything that's happening in the Raiders' backfield and how this offense is taking shape. Let's dive in. Let's get back to the field and take a closer look at some individual drills. Here we're watching Ashton Jeanty working on blocking fundamentals, plugging the A-gap, and then quickly shifting outside to help on the edge. These drills are all about footwork, positioning, and technique, the building blocks of being a complete running back. In a Chip Kelly offense, blocking isn't optional. Every running back on the roster has to contribute in pass protection. If your backs can't block, you become predictable. And in today's NFL, that's a problem. But with guys like Jeanty and Raheem Mostert, the Raiders are adding versatile threats who can run, catch, and protect the quarterback. That kind of balance keeps defenses guessing. Are they running, passing, motioning out wide? Defenses won't know what's coming. And that's exactly how you stay one step ahead. Take a look around the league. A team like the Ravens is a great example. When Derrick Henry's in the backfield, defenses often expect the run. When Justice Hill comes in, they're thinking pass. But when your backs can do both, that's when the offense becomes dangerous. Now let's shift to the quarterback, Geno Smith. He brings experience, accuracy, and poise to the Raiders' offense. Some critics still question his game, pointing to struggles during his time in Seattle, but context matters. Seattle's offensive line ranked among the worst in football during several of those seasons. Despite that, Geno developed into one of the league's most accurate quarterbacks under pressure, a trait this Raiders team desperately needs. Yes, he's had a few interceptions during OTAs, including one picked off by Jeremy Chin. But what matters most is the response. On the very next play, Geno dropped a perfect corner route to Dante Thornton. Later, he zipped a tight window touchdown strike to Trey Tucker downfield. Mistakes happen in practice. What matters is how you bounce back. And so far, Geno's shown he's ready to lead. Mistakes are part of the process, especially when you're learning a new offense. Interceptions? They're going to happen. So will miscommunications and off-target throws. That's just the reality when a team is in the early stages of installing a new system, especially one as complex and run-focused as Chip Kelly's. It's likely that Geno Smith hasn't played in a system like this before, and the same goes for most of the roster. Everyone's adjusting, and that's expected. What you don't want during OTAs or minicamp is one side of the ball dominating every practice. You want competition. You want balance. And so far, that's exactly what we've seen in Las Vegas. Head coach Pete Carroll recently said the offense had a strong showing on Monday, winning that day's practice. But by Wednesday, the defense bounced back and took control. That's the sign of a healthy, competitive environment, and it's what you want from a team trying to build something sustainable. Now, looking back at Geno Smith's 2024 season, yes, he completed over 70% of his passes, a career high, but he also threw 15 interceptions against just 21 touchdowns. Only Baker Mayfield and Kirk Cousins threw more picks last season. Still, context matters. Geno was working behind one of the worst offensive lines in the league. That's why the Raiders might be a better fit. This offensive line group isn't elite, but it has potential. Colton Miller returns to anchor the left side. Rookie Jackson Powers Johnson steps in as the new center. a tough, intelligent player with upside. From there, things get interesting. Dylan Parham, DJ Glaze, and Jordan Meredith are in the mix. And while none are locked-in stars, each has flashed enough to be in the rotation. Depth is another positive. Rookie Charles Grant, a mid-round draft steal, brings physicality. Caleb Rogers is another guard with long-term potential. And don't forget Alex Kappa, a proven veteran, Super Bowl champion, and locker room leader. He was a key piece on that Buccaneers line with Tom Brady and helped mentor Tristan Wirfs in Tampa. That kind of leadership matters, especially for a young offensive unit still learning its identity. As we wrap up this update, let's take a look at where things stand and who's been turning heads so far. With the first week of OTAs in the books, a few standout performers have started to separate themselves. On defense, safety Jeremy Chin continues to make an impact. Third-round pick Darren Porter, the cornerback out of Iowa, has flashed potential. Lonnie Johnson recorded an interception, and linebacker Tommy Eichenberg has been impressive, picking off Geno Smith during team drills. On offense, Ashton Jeanty remains one of the most talked-about players, even without pads. While it's tough to fully evaluate running backs in non-contact drills, Jeanty's burst and vision have been hard to miss. Tommy Mellott is another name to watch. The former quarterback is making a full transition to wide receiver this offseason, and early signs suggest he could find a real role in this offense. Looking ahead, there's a lot more on the calendar, from continued OTA sessions to mandatory minicamp and, soon enough, training camp and preseason action. That's when the real evaluations begin. Who are you most excited to see during training camp and preseason? Is it a new face like wide receiver Dante Thornton? A versatile player like Jack Beck? Or maybe you're watching for a breakout from someone like Mellott? Let us know your thoughts. With a long off-season ahead, there's plenty more to cover, from positional battles to in-depth film breakdowns once the pads come on. So stay tuned, it's going to be a big year in Las Vegas.